We are here with Burt Boyar. Am I saying that right, Boyar?
Well, Boyar.
Boyar.
No.
Boyar. No.
Then why do they
Yes
say your
or no?
name wrong at the front desk?
They always do.
That's where I heard it. Yeah.
They spell it wrong. They say it wrong.
Boyar.
Boyar.
That's it, Boyar, like a foyer.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
where were you born?
I was born in New York. My grandparents were born in Russia.
Really?
So it's really a Russian name, not French.
Oh, so they make you French because you're so.
It's B-O-Y-A-R, not E-R. But I should have changed it years ago because that's how everybody wants to spell it. They always spell it.
So Barack Obama went with the "Yes, we can," right? And 40 years earlier, you were with the "Yes, I can."
Yeah, he didn't ask me for permission.
He didn't.
No.
And you can imagine he's read the book, Barack Obama.
I hope so.
Yeah, I would think so. And where did you guys come up with the "Yes, I can"?
Well, it was actually Sammy's way of being. He never said "Yes, I can," but throughout his life, throughout his career, things would happen. People would say to him, "You can't do this, you can't do that." And though he never said "Yes, I can," he did. And so one day, in the writing of a book, it took 6 years to write that book. And in the writing of it, you keep getting hundreds of titles thrown at you. People tell you titles, and people would stop at our table at Danny's Hideaway. Leonard Lyons would say this, and Jack Carter would say Trouble Man. All people would come up with all kinds of titles. Every one of them was bad. And then finally it just occurred to me, this was Sammy. Yes, I can, and he did. It was him.
He's truly probably the most talented man ever, right? I mean,
he was the greatest entertainer that ever lived.
Ever lived. He did impressions, right? He did
everything.
He did everything.
Well, impressions is one of the things he was told you can't do. Will Maston, who was his quote uncle, not actually his uncle, but he was like his uncle. When Sammy first started doing impressions of white people, Will Maston said, "Hey, you can't do that."
Really?
You can't possibly do that. People they'll think you're making fun of them. He said, "You'll get killed and we'll get lynched. It's no good." And Sammy went ahead and did them, and they of course they were the spectacular part of his act.
It was amazing. Did he get a lot of hate mail? Did he get a lot of hate mail? Did he get a lot of people who hated him because he was black?
Everybody wanted him to do that. He did Jerry Lewis for Jerry Lewis. And when he opened at Ciro's, which is where he really made it big.
Which is now the Comedy Store.
Yeah, he did everybody he could think of, and they're all in the audience. Edward G. Robinson, Spencer Tracy, Cary Grant, they're all up front. And finally, they kept calling him back, and as an encore, he did one off the bat, just ad-libbed one that he'd never done before. It was Jerry Lewis.
Really?
And he was unbelievable. He killed everybody. Little black Jerry Lewis walking.
Hi, lady.
Oh, that's great.
Show this picture, please.
Okay, so this is a picture of Sammy and Jerry Lewis, right?
Yeah, actually, this picture was taken in the dressing room, and that we have a corresponding picture of
Move your fingers.
Jerry holding the camera. This is a Rolleiflex that Jerry gave to Sammy.
Right.
And he sort of started him as a photographer.
Ah, that's where it started. Jerry gave him a camera.
Yeah, and we have the other picture of it. The two of them still standing there, and Jerry's got the camera. They're taking pictures of themselves in a mirror.
Show them. Look at you.
I'm
It's
looking
your
at the
idol.
photos, right? So here we got Dean
You
and
won't
Frank,
show anybody.
Right? I'm gonna look at this.
Well, push me.
There's Dean and Frank, right?
Yeah.
And they were the three main performers of the Rat Pack, right?
They were the only performers.
They were the only performers. Okay.
I'm sorry, no. Joey was very good. Joey Bishop was really.
Yeah.
He was a funny man.
Not comedians a little bit. That's okay, Burt.
They were funnier than him, were they not?
Well, it was a necessity to laugh harder at them. You had to, other you get thrown out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who was throwing you out?
Frank Sinatra's people.
He just threw you out. So those stories are true. He had those people with him.
No.
Frank. No.
No.
How many books have you written?
7.
And out of all the books you've written, what's your favorite?
That one.
Yes, I can.
It has to be.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
It sold 15 million copies.
That's it?
Yes, he did. It's not yes, I can. It's like yes, he did. He did.
It's in every public library in America. It's in many school systems as required reading, and it was pirated in Soviet Russia and in Brazil. They just printed it.
And they printed it. They didn't pay you?
They didn't pay you.
When you catch them, they pay you.
Really?
Yeah.
We know. We kind of work like that.
That's how
as comedians.
And you said earlier you wrote a lot while you were in Spain. Now, you lived in Spain for 28 years? Is that
28 years.
How did that happen? How did you get to Spain?
My wife and I traveled for a couple of years on the professional tennis circuit with the best players in the world. This is before the boom. And there were Rod Laver, Ken Rose, all that group. And Lou Hode, who was probably one of the greatest tennis players that ever lived, had opened a tennis camp in the south of Spain. And he invited us to spend Christmas with him. We went there, spent a couple of weeks, and just had the most fantastic time. We thought, well, here, let's come back here and write this book, because this is a really quiet place. And we stayed for 28 years.
Oh my God.
28 years.
That's quiet.
Wow.
That is
quiet.
God.
Yeah, was it writer's block? It just took 28 years to write the book, or you?
Because we're writers too.
Spain?
We have problems. I'm always asking him to help me write my book. He's like, Sunda, you have to sit down and do it.
No, that makes sense.
It's
you know?
so hard.
Yeah. What would your book be called?
Oh, I wish I could.
I wish I could. I wish I could.
I wish I could. And of
yes,
course,
you can.
Yes, I can. And of course, people always make jokes about me being a black Jew, because they say, oh, what are you trying to be? There's only one Sammy Davis. I said, there's so many black Jews. Like, what are you talking about? He just happened to be someone who just put it out there and was proud to be one.
Were the Jews accepting of him?
I think they were very pleased that he had become Jewish. He was in question for a while. People thought, is this a publicity stunt? And it was very hard for him to go to temple and attend services, because he created commotions just by arriving.
I can imagine.
Yeah, sure.
So, but he was absolutely sincere about it. And I don't know why this comes to my mind, but when he went to Israel, I can't remember who the prime minister was at the time, but he was invited to come and have refreshments with him. And the prime minister said, would you like a glass of tea? And Sammy looked at him. He said, are you sure you're not from the Bronx? The prime minister of Israel.
All right, well, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the show. We have to take a break. All right.
Will you come back and see us again?
Anytime.
Because Phil Blazer said, make sure you remember that I sent Sammy Davis to Israel, and you said a lot of people sent Sammy Davis to Israel.
That's right. The head of the network was involved in that. All right, we have to take a break. We'll be back with This Week in Anti-Semitism and From Miles Away from Home. Is that what? No, I'm messing up the title. Miles from Home. The cast of From Miles from Home. I'm messing it up again. Miles from Home. Miles from Home. That's right. You're involved. All right, we'll be right back.
All right.
Coming up next on James and Sunda, This Week in Anti-Semitism and the cast and crew of Miles from Home.